The movie starts with a young man, John, running wildly through a dense forest in Ireland, which is a place rumored to draw in wandering spirits. Once people step inside, there's no turning back. As night falls and he realizes his watch has stopped, he climbs a tree for shelter. Next, we are introduced to Mina, who lives in Galway, Ireland, and is employed at a pet store. One day, her boss requests that she bring a stunning macaw because they must transport it to a zoo. Without hesitation, she brings the macaw home. During the evening, inexplicably, she wears a wig before heading to a bar. In this scene, she converses with a man but adopts a false identity, including a fake name and profession. The following day, she mentions to the bird that she enjoys venturing incognito. Later, we discover that Mina's distant attitude stems from her inability to move on from the loss of someone dear to her, as revealed in an audio message from her sister. There are numerous missing persons notices displayed throughout this location. As Mina ventures further into the forest, her phone and radio signals weaken, eventually leading to her car coming to a halt. After her release, she stumbles upon a sign that ominously cautions about a place from which there is no turning back. Believing that someone must be nearby, she takes the macaw and searches for assistance. However, to her dismay, she is unable to find anyone. As she prepares to return to the car, she is taken aback to discover that it has mysteriously vanished. Mina remains composed and even bestows a name upon the macaw, Darwin. As the earth starts to shake, our protagonist hears footsteps and decides to investigate. To her surprise, she encounters a mysterious white-haired woman who urgently beckons her to run towards an open door, warning that it will shut in 5 seconds. Upon entering, Malene, a woman with white hair, informs her about a location known as the shelter. She then proceeds to introduce her to 2 individuals named Kira and Daniel. At that moment, Malene rushes over to them and urgently tells Mina that they need to prepare because a group of individuals known as the Observers will arrive later that night. These mysterious figures only observe them until the sun comes up. So, Malene takes a confident stride forward, and upon hearing a commotion, they realize that the crowd is cheering for their entrance. As the sun rises, the reflection in the mirror slowly disappears, prompting Mina to depart despite being warned of the dire consequences. She is taken aback when a girl questions her departure. As she continues her frantic sprint, a glimmer of hope appears on the horizon, only to be cruelly snuffed out as she reaches a dead end. In the forest, Malene informs her that everyone attempted to escape but was unsuccessful. She advises her to exercise caution in the forest due to its tendency to induce hallucinations. She also warns her not to venture past the boundary marked by the signs. Upon returning to the shelter, Daniel playfully mentions the entertainment value that the Observers will find in Mina's return. Later, Kira begins to dance because it brings them joy. Later, Mina watches a recording of a TV show, and the next day she goes for a walk with Kira. During their conversation, Kira reveals that her husband John left 6 days ago but still hasn't returned. Interestingly, John is the guy we saw being attacked initially. In addition, Kira introduces her to a fascinating discovery known as the Burrow. These are underground hideouts where the Watchers seek refuge during daylight hours. Once everyone is assembled, Malene takes a moment to caution Mina about a few essential guidelines. She advises her to avoid facing the mirror, avoid opening the door once night falls, and steer clear of the burrows. Mina remains engrossed in the program in the evening, growing increasingly restless. She absent-mindedly taps her fingers on the mirror, longing for a reaction. On the following day, Mina joins Daniel in his search for Abby. During their journey, Daniel reveals that Matt had been a university professor in that place for over 8 months. She realizes that Daniel is also intrigued and persuades him to assist her in exploring the contents of the burrows. After landing, Daniel advises her to remain in the light, and Mina proceeds to investigate the area, stumbling upon various items that belong to others. She convinces Daniel to hop on a bicycle, but just then, her attention is caught by a sudden sound. Fortunately, Daniel successfully boards the train, and it becomes apparent that Mina has managed to retrieve numerous items. One exciting aspect is the camera that Daniel sets up in the shelter, as the artifact only functions in that location. They leave the camera recording outside to catch a glimpse of the Watchers. However, to everyone's surprise, a person unexpectedly knocks on the shelter's door instead of the anticipated creatures. This is Kira's husband, but Malene refuses to let him open the door, claiming that it's just a ploy by the Observers. Curious about Mina's actions, she inquires about what she did, and Mina openly admits to her. Malene approaches Kira with a request to inquire about a matter known only to her husband. During their conversation, Kira notices he is engrossed in a book and asks about it. However, he cannot answer, prompting Kira to suggest using the camera to capture his reaction. As the observers begin to close in, they quickly take their positions and, fueled by intense determination, shatter the mirror. The following day, Malene brings back all the items to the den. In a later scene, Mina is shown engrossed in her drawings. A vivid memory resurfaces as she sketches, a time when she was mischievous and rebellious. It takes her back to a fateful day she was riding in the car with her sister and mother. Due to her disobedience and mischief, tragedy struck, and her mother's life was tragically cut short. She also mentions the arrival of winter and the subsequent shortening of the days. She becomes aware of Malene's mistreatment towards Daniel and raises her voice in his defense. At the shelter, it becomes evident that Kira feels entirely down, while Mina uses the floor as her canvas to depict the forest. It dawns on her that she has forgotten about the shelter. He searches for her and discovers her near the den, driven by her desire to find her husband, John. Suddenly, a piercing scream fills the air, sending shivers down their spines. It becomes clear that Daniel has taken Malene captive, leaving them in a state of shock. The protagonist hastily rushes towards the shelter, firmly shutting the door behind him, unwilling to grant entry to the white-haired woman. Malene and Mina find refuge in the branches, desperately hoping to evade detection. In the shelter, Daniel is accompanied by Kira as they await the observers' arrival. However, their attention is quickly drawn to the absence of two individuals, prompting them to embark on a search mission. Malene and Mina persistently knock on the door again, delivering a harsh truth to the lasting burden he will carry. Convinced, he opens the door for them, but there's no time for arguments as they must now face the mirror. During that moment, Malene reveals to them that she is a teacher and shares her knowledge of the mythology surrounding the forest. She decides to go to that place on her own. In addition, she informs them that she had previously encountered a watcher and recognized it as a somber duplicate of herself. Based on mythology, these creatures are like fairies who are fascinated with imitating human actions, so they closely observe them. Out of nowhere, these creatures start mimicking their words and relentlessly try to break through the door. Fortunately, Mina discovers a hidden box beneath the carpet on the floor. With a swift strike, the box opens to reveal a concealed hatch. They decide to go down just in the nick of time as the observers manage to break through the door and shatter the mirror. At this trendy subway spot, they stumble upon a plethora of delectable cuisine and even come across a computer. This movie lacks internet connectivity, but it features the recordings of a professor who extensively researched these extraordinary creatures. According to him, he intended to create a mesmerizing world, and he had to enlist the help of numerous individuals to construct the shelter. However, he shockingly reveals that he ultimately abandoned them outside during the night, resulting in their tragic demise. He also admits that initially these creatures imitated human traits poorly, but later on they improved significantly, prompting him to strengthen the shelter. Additionally, he recounts an encounter with one of these creatures, noting its distinctiveness. It looked like a girl with red hair and acted very calm and did not follow the others. In a video, he successfully traps one of these creatures in a shelter, hoping to establish some form of communication. Mina continues her search and eventually opens the final video, which happens to be the 300th day. In this film, the professor finds himself in a precarious situation, as the creatures he once admired turn against him, leaving him with a sense of impending doom. Armed with a gun and only 2 bullets, he is determined to put an end to that creature's existence, even if it means sacrificing his own life. However, before departing, he wishes to document that a boat can be discovered to exit the forest by locating a specific landmark and observing the bird's flight patterns. They intend to go to his office and completely dismantle everything he learned about that location. After saying that, she heads upstairs and follows Mina's instructions, informing everyone that they will depart the following day. As a cause for celebration, Kira and Daniel share a dance. During their conversation, Daniel opens up about his complicated past, revealing the hardships he faced with an abusive father. In a heartfelt gesture, Kira offers her support and suggests they stick together if they can successfully escape their situation. The following day, they venture out to find the boat near sign number 134 after opening the gate. Mina sets Darwin free, and they embark on a journey together. Along their path, they stumble upon an ancient tomb created long ago to imprison the fairies whom humans banished. The 4 characters persist in trailing Darwin, despite the encroaching darkness and the onset of rain. As they journeyed, a group of fairies started trailing behind them. After a while, they could locate the river and the boat they had been searching for. Regrettably, Daniel becomes ensnared in the fairy's trap when he unknowingly aids John, resulting in a mark being left on his forehead by the fairy. As the sun rises, we witness the joyous reunion of the macaw and Mina as they embrace their newfound freedom. They embark on a journey to Galway, the city where Mina resides, boarding a bus together. Against all odds, the trio successfully escapes the bustling city. As Mina steps into the house, she decides to freshen up and finds herself reflecting on the tragic day her mother passed away. The following day, she visits the professor's university, assuming the role of his niece. She discovers that in this location, the fairies were once banished to the forest, living without their wings. They coexisted with humans, forming deep bonds and even starting families together. These kids had this incredible power to mimic the appearance of others, including those who had passed away. She stumbles upon a massive painting and a collection of photographs that leave her utterly astonished. After dark, she makes her way to Kira's house with an urgent need to share something. Mina made a surprising revelation about Maline's relationship with the professor, who unfortunately is no longer with us. Turns out, the mysterious companion they had been with was a fairy. She embarks on a journey eagerly anticipating Maline's guidance to her rightful place. However, it takes her little time to discover that she has assumed the identity of Kira. In a surprising turn of events, the fairy reveals to Mina that she had been using them as a means to study and ultimately find her freedom. However, now she has no choice but to eliminate her, as she is aware of Mina's inevitable betrayal, mirroring the betrayal she experienced. In a shocking turn of events, she assumes Mina's appearance, and just moments before delivering a fatal blow, reveals a startling secret. Her ability to walk in daylight is attributed to her unique lineage, a hybrid of fairy and a human. Mina reassures her, pointing out their similarities and suggesting they don't have to be alone, as others are likely like them on Earth. The fairy spreads her wings and decides to depart. After a while, Mina reunites with her sister Lucy. After sharing all the details, she reveals that on numerous occasions, she feels like she's being observed by Elle, who takes on the appearance of various individuals. However, she assures herself she's gradually overcoming this unsettling experience and is determined to move forward.